My beloved brothers and sisters, there comes a time in every believer's life when they are faced with difficult decisions that are heavy on the heart yet necessary for the soul. One of those moments is knowing when it's time to walk away, when it's time to leave what no longer serves your iman, your peace, your connection with Allah. And in those moments you must remember, you are not alone. He does not abandon His servant who calls out to Him sincerely. Trust in His plan, even when it doesn't match your own. My beloved brothers and sisters, life is a journey filled with moments of clarity and moments of confusion. One of the greatest challenges we face is recognizing when it's time to move on. Whether it's from a place, a person, a job, or even a mindset, it can be incredibly difficult to let go of what we've become accustomed to. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, gives us signs, subtle and clear, that it may be time to leave. He does not always speak through miracles or dramatic changes. Sometimes it's the gentle, persistent unrest in your heart that is telling you something needs to change. And in those moments, we must remember to trust in Allah's plan, even if we don't fully understand it. There are times when you feel emotionally drained, spiritually disconnected, and mentally exhausted. You wake up with a heaviness that doesn't go away. You begin to lose motivation. You feel like you're stuck in a place that no longer nourishes your soul. You try to stay, thinking things will change. Mate, you try to convince yourself that you are being patient, that maybe this is a test. But patience does not mean putting yourself in harm's way. Patience does not mean tolerating injustice, abuse, or toxic environments. Patience is beautiful when you know Allah is testing you to elevate you. But when the signs are constant, when your du's are being delayed, when the barakah is missing from your life, perhaps that is Allah showing you that He has something better for you. But you must first leave. It's easy to hold on because of fear. Fear of what lies ahead, fear of starting over, fear of judgment. But do you know what defeats fear? Tawakkul. Trusting Allah fully, believing that if He asks you to walk away, it's not because He wants to make your life harder, but because He wants to open a new door. Sometimes we can't grow in the environment we're in. Sometimes the people around us are holding us back. Sometimes the situation we are in is blocking our does. And unless we make that move, we may never see what Allah had planned for us all along. When you begin to lose yourself in a situation, when it starts to affect your iman, your prayers, your mental health, take it seriously. That is not something to ignore. Allah does not want you to live in misery. He wants ease for you. He wants you to find peace in Him. But sometimes the path to peace starts with letting go, and while it may hurt in the beginning, know that Allah replaces every pain with something greater, every tear with a reward, and every sacrifice with barakah. So if the signs are there, and your heart is whispering to you, don't silence. Don't delay what Allah is making clear. Walk away with your head high, knowing that you are walking towards something better, because you are walking with Allah. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the greatest lessons a believer can learn is to pay attention to the signs Allah places in their life. Many times, we find ourselves stuck in situations that no longer serve our faith, our emotional well-being, or our purpose. And yet, we stay. We stay because we are afraid of change, afraid of what people will say, afraid of the unknown. But fear is never greater than the power of trust in Allah. When something repeatedly brings you distress, when you are no longer able to grow, when every step forward feels like a heavy burden, then perhaps it is time to understand that Allah is guiding you out, not in. Sometimes staying is not patience. It's delay. Sometimes walking away is not giving up. It's rising up. There are countless moments in life when we make excuses for why we continue to stay in situations that harm us. We tell ourselves that things will improve. We convince ourselves that if we try harder, if we just remain silent, the pain will pass. But Islam is not about enduring unnecessary suffering. Allah does not ask you to suffer silently when He is giving you signs to stand up and move forward. Your silence in a place that constantly breaks your heart is not sabr. True sabr is when you put your trust in Allah, knowing that even if it's hard, you are choosing what pleases Him over what pleases people. Look at how many times Allah removed people from their comfort zones to lead them to something better. Prophet Ibrahim had to leave his people, his home, even his child, yet Allah gave him legacy. Prophet Musa had to leave the palace and face Pharaoh, yet Allah gave him victory. The Prophet Muhammad had to leave Makkah, the land he loved most. Yet Allah gave him Medina, gave him peace, gave him strength, and gave him the Ummah. Their hearts must have been heavy, but they knew that if Allah is asking them to leave, He must have prepared something better ahead. When everything seems to be closing in on you, when your du'as are not answered in the place you are begging for them to be answered, when your heart no longer feels at peace, don't ignore that. Allah is most merciful. He sends you these feelings for a reason. That pain in your chest, that restlessness in your sleep, that tear you cry every night, that is your soul speaking to you, calling you to move, to trust, to surrender to Allah's plan. Never think that leaving something or someone means you fail. In fact, sometimes it's the greatest sign of strength. When you walk away for the sake of Allah, when you leave behind what no longer brings you closer to Him, that is not loss, it is elevation. And though the path ahead may seem uncertain, remember, the one who is guiding you owns the future. Put your trust in Him. Let go of what weighs you down and walk forward, knowing that if you are leaving with Allah in your heart, you are not losing, you are winning. My beloved brothers and sisters, the heart of a believer is delicate and Allah knows every beat of it. Sometimes you find yourself holding on tightly to something that is causing you harm, draining your energy and pulling you further away from peace. But you continue to cling, not because you don't feel the pain, but because letting go feels even more frightening. You keep hoping it will change, that the situation will improve, that one day everything will suddenly become better. But in your quiet moments, when it's just you and your thoughts, there is a voice inside whispering, "This is not right for you." That voice is not just your emotion. It may be Allah's mercy guiding you to something better. The signs begin to appear not in dramatic events, but in subtle, repeated patterns of discomfort. And when you see these signs, know that it is not a coincidence. It's a message calling you to trust Allah more than you trust your fears. We are told to be patient in times of hardship, and indeed, patience is a virtue. But patience does not mean staying in a place that continually harms your soul. Patience means enduring trials while staying loyal to Allah, not enduring mistreatment, neglect, or environments that darken your spirit. When a place no longer supports your growth, when your heart no longer feels at ease, that may be a sign from your Lord. He is so merciful that He never leaves His servant in darkness without guidance. But the question is, are we willing to listen? So often, we fear being alone. We fear starting again. We fear judgment from people. But dear brothers and sisters, who are we living for? Is it people's approval we seek, or is it Allah's pleasure? People may never understand your journey. They may criticize you, question your decisions, or make you feel like you're giving up. But Allah sees what they do not. He knows what's in your heart. And when you make a decision sincerely for His sake, even if no one else understands, Allah will reward you in ways you can't imagine. You may walk away with a heavy heart, but you will walk into a future filled with His mercy. Letting go does not mean you failed. It means you are prioritizing your connection with your Creator over temporary comfort. It means you are brave enough to say, "I don't see the full picture, but I trust the one who does." This is tawakkul in its truest form, trusting Allah without needing to know what's next. And this kind of trust never goes unrewarded. What you leave for the sake of Allah, He will replace with something far greater, even if it takes time. So if the signs are there, if your heart feels like it's slowly breaking in silence, don't ignore it. Have the courage to take that step to walk away from what no longer aligns with your purpose, and walk toward the unknown with full certainty that your Rabb is already there, preparing what's best for you. Trust Him, for He is the best of planners. My dear brothers and sisters, how often do we stay in situations simply because we are used to them, not because they are good for us? There comes a time in every believer's life where a choice must be made between staying in comfort or stepping into growth. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sometimes puts us through situations not to break us, but to shake us, to awaken us from a place that is no longer serving our spiritual journey. And when things around you begin to fall apart, When what used to bring joy now brings anxiety, that may be Allah gently redirecting your path. The discomfort is not meant to destroy you, it's meant to guide you. You see, when your soul is no longer at ease in a place, when your connection with Allah starts to feel distant, that's not a coincidence. That is a divine signal. And when those signals continue, when the same trials return again and again, it's a sign that something needs to change. We often mistake consistency for loyalty. We think staying in one place, in one job, in one relationship is always a sign of faithfulness. But the truth is, sometimes walking away requires far more courage and faith than staying. Especially when you are not walking away to chase this world, but you are walking away to protect your iman, your peace, and your connection with Allah. That is not weakness. That is strength in its purest form. People might not see it that way. They may judge you, question your choices, and even call you ungrateful. But remember, people are not your judge. Allah is, and He knows what you're letting go of, and He knows why. The Prophet Muhammad Letaref, the best of creation, was not afraid to walk away from situations when Allah guided him to do so. When he left Mecca, it was not because he was weak, it was because the mission required a new environment. And what came after? A new chapter filled with growth, strength, and victory. So why do you think leaving means losing? In the eyes of Allah, it may be the very thing that brings you closer to your destiny. The moment you choose your iman over convenience, your peace over pressure, your faith over fear, that is when you win. You may feel like you're stepping into the unknown. You may worry about what comes next. But don't forget, Allah is already ahead of you. He knows your struggle. He sees the pain you're carrying. He listens to every silent tear. And when you move with sincerity, when your decision is rooted in a desire to please Him, you will never be left empty-handed. The road may be difficult at first, but the end will be filled with light. So do not let fear chain you to places that Allah is trying to free you from. Let go with grace, leave with faith, and trust that when you choose Allah's plan, you never walk alone. My beloved brothers and sisters, when Allah removes something from your life, it is never without wisdom. At times, we become so attached to a person, a place, or a dream that the very thing we cling to starts becoming an obstacle between us and our Creator. But the beauty of our faith is that Allah does not break your heart to leave you broken. He breaks it so that you return to Him, so that you discover where true contentment lies. When a door closes, when a path becomes blocked, when no matter how much effort you put in, the result is pain, pause and reflect. These are not random difficulties. These are signs. Perhaps Allah is showing you that it's time to leave, to surrender that attachment, to make space in your life for what He has written for you. We live in a world where we are constantly told to fight for what we want, to never quit, to push until we succeed. But in Islam, surrender is not weakness. It is strength. It is the heart's way of saying, yeah, Allah, I no longer want what I want. I want what you want for me. That level of submission requires trust, and not just in good times, but especially in the hard times. Because it's in those moments, when everything feels uncertain, that you learn the true meaning of tawakkul. You may not understand why things didn't work out, why someone left, why your efforts were not rewarded. But if your heart is sincere, if you leave for the sake of Allah, then what you gain is far greater than anything you lost. Sometimes Allah keeps you in a situation just long enough for your heart to learn the lesson. And when you've grown enough, when you've outgrown the pain, He pulls you out, not a moment too soon or too late. That's how precise His timing is. You must trust that He sees the full picture, while you only see a small piece. Maybe you thought that job was your only chance. Maybe you thought that person was your forever. Maybe you believed that dream had to happen now. But Allah, in His mercy, redirects your path, not to punish you, but to protect you. What you think is a delay may be your greatest protection. What feels like rejection may be divine redirection. So don't carry guilt for choosing peace. Don't feel like you failed because you had to walk away. Walking away from what breaks you is not failure, it's faith. And when you let go of what was never meant to stay, your hands are finally free to receive what Allah has written for you. The path ahead may seem lonely at first, but you will find that as you walk away with Allah in your heart, the burden becomes lighter, the tears more healing, and the future more hopeful. Trust the plan of the one who created you. Even when it's difficult, even when it hurts, surrender to His wisdom. Okay, because when you live for Allah, you never lose. You only grow.